Breaking news: a 350-pound teacher steps on students as a form of punishment during lockdown drills. Yesterday, I explained to you guys what a lockdown drill is and what it looks like from the teacher's perspective. One thing that it is not an opportunity to punish kids who misbehave. This gentleman, I cannot remember his name, but it happened in Minnesota. The gentleman weighed roughly 350 pounds. I think his last name was Rogers. And during lockdown drills, students were this teacher who weighs more than 350 pounds would step on their backs, step on their toes, do all these sorts of things as punishment. I guess because the kids weren't being quiet during the lockdown drills. Good morning, Sherry. So to me, this is more of a classroom management problem, not necessarily a punishment of the kids problem. Because if you can't get your kids to be quiet when there's a potential shooter on the campus, then that's a you problem. If you That means you haven't been doing these drills correctly. But nonetheless, in Minnesota, a teacher was formally convicted, awaiting sentencing for stepping on the backs of students when they whenever they needed to be disciplined, or so to speak. Now, as egregious as this sounds, I am not defending this bad teacher whatsoever. But after reading the story, it may sound like that this is something that the people. Somebody actually said do nothing. Oh, uh, oh no, they not blinking that on me. Somebody really would do nothing. But this actually sounds like a story where the teacher may have had these little pet games or activities with these kids. Not saying that's the case. Please do not say the fake teacher said that. What I'm saying is, it sounds like it from the news story that these were not done in malicious ways, even though they called them punishments, because there was no mention of victimization. They're not saying that the victims suffered from A, B, or C, or the victims claimed to have certain injuries or things of that nature. They just said that this big guy would step on their back as a form of punishment. But then again, I mean, how much more punishment do you need than somebody 350 pounds stepping on the back of a sixth grader? Because I believe they were sixth graders that this was happening to. So, um, let's see. The polls are coming in. 67% of you said you'd beat his ass. Uh, no, 0% said you'd tell your kids do nothing. And then one person said they would do nothing. Well, I feel sorry for your child, but the teacher, as a consequence, was asked to give up any state license that he held in any state that he might hold a license. So that means subsequently he can never, ever, 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 ever teach again in any public school setting. He was required to go to anger management, and he was required to commit 90 hours of community service and pay $2,500 in court fees. So this is why I said I don't know if it was a malicious intent, because there was no call for restitution. There was no call for paying medical expenses or medical bills for any of the impacted children. So this is going to be an interesting story, to say the least, and it'll be interesting to see what develops of these type of cases. Because if it was a situation where this teacher was just playing and joking with his kids, and maybe a helicopter parent decided to say, well, hey, he gave my child an F and I want him to be fired, this is my opportunity. Yes, that happens too. Then we will have to see, because there are a lot of bad parents that use lighthearted things that teachers do in the classroom as an opportunity to get them fired, which I said lighthearted with a 350-pound teacher stepping on the backs of kids. I don't know how funny and lighthearted that is. But nonetheless, this is a lesson that you always have to make sure that you understand boundaries when you are a fake teacher and you are building those relationships with the kids. You can have fun, you can have a good time, you can enjoy yourselves, you can do all those things in the classroom without you physically invading the student space or the students physically invading your space. But if you think about what a sixth grader looks like, and some of these sixth graders vary in size, but most of them are pretty small. For someone 350 pounds, whether even if it is doing one of those wrestler kayfabe stands on somebody's back, it's still that's risky. So I don't know if I would recommend or cheer or encourage or think that was a good idea. So me personally, I wouldn't step on the back of anybody, but let alone a student. But hey, some people will do something what people are going to do. May justice be served in this situation, and may justice be served in this case. If you have not subbed up to this channel yet, please sub up to it. I want you guys also to look at another case that I put in on my community wall. There's a case about a woman in Chicago who was placed in a special needs class where she suffered S abuse for years at the hands of her special education teacher. So much so that she was impregnated by this teacher. And this teacher um, told her, I don't care if you tell anybody because you're just a little N word baby. She was 12 years old, she said, when the abuse started. And it started all the way up till she was 16. I guess she had some real learning limitations there. But I share that because if you are a parent, particularly of a child in a special education class, don't be alarmed that all special education teachers are predatory, but make sure that you ask the questions. Make sure you're not afraid to ask what's going on with your child in that classroom. But DNA evidence proved that this real fake teacher was the father of this poor child's baby. This woman said she tried to commit suicide. She said that all these different things. I think her family dynamic was shit anyway because her family just seemed like they kicked her out the house when they found out she was pregnant instead of asking who got you pregnant. So what they did was interesting is that they did and I'm going to do a follow up on it anyway. But what they did was they interviewed the daughter of this man and they did a DNA test with the daughter of this woman who claimed that this teacher abused her, and they said it was a 99.9% match. However, they said that due to the statute of limitations, yeah, the scumbag is still alive, by the way. Um, not only not only is he a PDF, not only is he that, because I'm trying to learn what words you can use on here or not. Not only is he a PDF, but he's also a deadbeat father because this woman was thrust to be sexually abused and then having to raise this child on her own without any financial compensation from this scumbag whatsoever. I've seen stories like this before where a teacher will put a whole baby in one of the children, and the parents don't pursue charges against that person, but they only tell the person to take care of the child. Sickening, right? But this really happens. So read that story or watch that story. It breaks your heart, and it had me thinking because here we have Bill Cosby getting justice from people making claims in 1963, 64, 65. But this poor black woman who's in her 50s now, I think, or 50s or something, couldn't even get people to make it a public story other than the local news. Because will CNN cover it? Will CNN go track down other victims of this man? Because I'm telling you right now, if she was one, there's probably 4 or 5, 7 or 10 other victims. So they're not going to go deep dive. And even though their statute of limitations have passed, we still need to let everybody know that this man did this to this woman. They did it to Bill Cosby, but I guess this woman's not high profile or important enough, or her accuser, who's white, wasn't important enough, and she being a black woman in a special needs class. So, um, read this story, but then also follow up on that other story I just shared with you guys. Ooh, I can't pass. But I'm gonna go enjoy my morning drive. Salute. Gotta get past this truck. I'm gonna leave this up for about a few more minutes. But feel free to comment in the section, and then make sure also if you haven't sub up. But yeah, check this story out about this 350-pound teacher stepping on the backs of his students as a quote unquote punishment. All right. Uh, yeah, I can go.